Dr. Veronica Deverell couldn't believe they were still interviewing for staff 3 weeks before the beginning of term. It showed a lack of professionalism she just couldn't bear. She glanced in the mirror, then reached out a finger to smooth the deep furrow between her eyes. Normally she was without a hint of vanity, but the start of the new school year brought anxieties all of its own, even after 30 years, and Mrs. Ferrers waiting for the very last minute to jump ship to Godolphin was one of them. So now she was short of an English teacher. And with 80 new girls soon turning up, some scared, some weepy, some excited, some defiant, and all of them needing a good, confident hand. She put on her reading glasses and turned back to the pile of CVs. She missed the days when she didn't need CVs with their gussied-up management language and fancy euphemisms about child-centred learning instead of simple common sense. A nicely typed letter without spelling mistakes and a quick once-over to see if they were the right stuff. That used to be all she needed. Still, she mused, gazing out of the high window of her office over the smooth lawns, quiet and empty, at least for a few more weeks, and up to the rocky promontory above the sea, which started just beyond the bounds of the school. It wasn't all bad. These ghastly inclusiveness courses the board had suggested she attend — no one would ever instruct Veronica to do anything — had been quite interesting in terms of expanding the range of people the girls could work with. They had such hermetic upbringings, so many of them. Country house, London house, nannies, and the best schools. Oh, there was divorce and absent parenting and all the rest, but they still existed in a world in which everyone had help. No one had to worry about money or even getting a job. Now, wasn't there an application somewhere from a woman teaching in a Glasgow housing estate? Perhaps she should have another glass of mint tea and look at it again. La-di-da. Shut it, Simone said. La-di-da. Mum, he's doing it again. Joel. I'm not doing anything. Simone tried to ignore him and concentrate on an early spell of packing, which was hard when he wouldn't get out of her tiny bedroom. And, even more irritating, she could kind of see his point. Even she'd winced at the straw boater and the winter gloves on the uniform list, though at first she'd been so excited. Such a change from the ugly burgundy sweatshirt and optional, i.e. everyone wore them if you didn't want to get called a slut, grey trousers and black shoes at St. Cat's. She tried to ignore her annoying younger brother and bask once again in the memory of the day they'd got the letter. Not the months and months of long study that had gone on before it. Not the remarks from her classmates, which had got even more unpleasant the more she'd stayed behind and begged the teachers for extra work and more coaching. Most of the third years were of the firm conviction that she'd had sex with every single teacher in the school, male and female, in return for the highest predicted GCSE grades the school had ever seen. Not that there'd been much to beat. She'd tried her best to keep her head high, even when she was being tripped in the corridor, when she couldn't open any door without glances and whispers in her direction, when she spent every break time and lunchtime hiding in a corner of the library, normally forbidden, but she'd got special permission. No, she was going back to the day the letter came, in a heavy, thick, white envelope. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Kardashian, we are pleased to inform you that your daughter Simone, full scholarship, enclosed clothing suppliers. Her father hadn't said very much. He'd had to go out of the room for a minute. Half delighted, he'd never dreamed when he'd arrived in Britain that one day his daughter would be attending a private school. He was also annoyed that, even though it was a great opportunity for Simone, he wasn't paying for it himself. And he worried, too, for his sensitive daughter. She'd nearly worked herself ill for the entrance exams. Would she be able to keep up? Simone's mum, however, had no such reservations. She flung her arms around Simone, screaming in excitement. She just wants to tell everyone, said Joel. But Simone hadn't cared. She'd been too busy taking it all in. No more St. Cat's. No more burgundy sweatshirts. No more Joe.